Hey, all right. So we're gonna talk. Excuse me. I'm dealing with allergies. Yay. We're gonna be talking about artboards a little bit more before we get into creating work. And I just want to go through the artboard tool so that you have a pretty good idea of how the artboards function once you get into your project. So if we were to do a new document, and I'm just gonna, well, what the heck, I'll call it Artboards, and I'm just gonna use my profile for print in the letter, so that I have an 8.5 by 11 ready for me, and I'm gonna stay with one artboard for the time being. So here's my single artboard. And there's really nowhere in a menu that I can go to change that dimension at all. However, there's an artboard tool. And the artboard tool is located in the bottom group of tools. You can kind of tell that these tools are broken into groups. So here's selection tools, here are some drawing tools, some transformation tools. I don't know what you call these, goodies. And then some special tools, and then we have more like document tools down at the bottom. Zooming in, moving around, slicing something up if you're going to create something for the web. And then the top one is the artboard tool. So the artboard tool looks like a little square with little like crop marks in the corners. And if you click on the artboard tool, your workspace ends up changing. Everything outside the artboard becomes dark gray. The artboard is still highlighted white. But we also see that on the corners of the artboard we do have our crop marks, and then we have this dotted line that goes around the edge that kind of looks like a selection, and then we have handles on the corners, on the top and bottom, and on the sides. And as soon as you pass your cursor over one of those little handles, you'll see that you could resize your artboard. That gets a little non-precise if you start grabbing those handles, because right now this is a fixed size for an 8.5 by 11. If I grab a handle and start resizing this thing, I'm not really sure exactly like what size it might end up. I mean, it'll tell me the pixels, and it's okay to do that, but usually it's nice to go in and be a little more calculated. As soon as you're in the artboard tool and you have this grayed out area, take a look at your control bar up here. It says that we're in the artboard tool. Our preset is letter. You could go to the preset and set it to something else. You could go with legal or tabloid, and then you can see that that size now is changing. So that's a nice quick and easy way to go back and change the size of your artboard after you've already made it, if you feel like you've made a mistake, or maybe you want to reformat, you're rethinking your design, you want it to be taller or whatever. So those are some presets, and you can see they have everything. They have all of the film and video, and then the mobile and devices, and then we have our web sizes. So all of those presets that were available for us in the new document window are right here, and you can play with that. You can also change the formatting from portrait to landscape just by clicking on a button. So that's what those guys do. And then we have a button over here which is a new artboard. And as soon as you click on new artboard and move your cursor into the workspace, it's asking you, where would you like that artboard? Where do you want to put it? So you could stash it over on the side, and just by clicking once, you've now established a new artboard. I'm holding down space bar while I move through my canvas. Spacebar turns your tool temporarily into the hand navigation tool. If that's new to you, get used to it, because it's a great little shortcut. So now I have two artboards. both the same size. Because I had my artboard selected when I chose new artboard, it adopted those dimensions. So I have two artboards that are the same size, 8.5 by 11. I could select artboard number 2. See how you can just kind of go and select and target the different artboards. I could take artboard number 2 and change its size to something. Maybe I want to take my design that I've made for print, and I want to put it on a mobile device, like a phone or something. So I could just choose that mobile device size, 240 by 266, and now I've got a big artboard and a small artboard. So you can name these things. You can name them. Maybe this is poster and this is mobile, or something like that. So naming them is helpful. Oh, then if you just want to delete them, you select the one you want to delete and hit the little trash can, and the guy goes away. I'll make another duplicate. This little X here also does the same thing. So you can delete an artboard two ways: selecting it, hitting the trash can, or going to the X in the corner and boop, deleting that. I'll open something up in a little bit and demonstrate this. Maybe I'll get rid of the artboard, the second one. Focus on this one. I'll turn it landscape so we can see things a little bit better. This little guy here is our display options, and if you hold down the little arrow, we have center mark, crosshairs, and video safe areas. Center mark, if it's checked, this is such a weird tool. Let's see how well I can explain it over video. This is an activate button, and this is your option. So show center mark is checked. Now if I activate, there's a tiny little green crosshair in the center of my artboard. It's a visual aid. It's never going to be printed. It's not going to be saved as a JPEG or PDF. That thing is just there for me as I design. And activating it is as easy as clicking on the activation button. Now if I went to crosshairs and then I activated my crosshairs, now I have crosshairs in the middle of the top and sides of my document in the bottom there, activating and deactivating. And then I have video safe areas, and if I activate those, you end up having these inner rectangles within your artboard that are intended for video work, that give you safety margins so that you don't have any artwork or important text that might not show up on a TV, because older TV sets would overscan. They would enlarge the picture to make sure that you never saw edges of something. So designers and filmmakers would have these safety margins to look to use, but they're really becoming less and less important because of media that's being shown either on the internet or on HD TVs that don't overscan as much. They still do, but it's nowhere near as dramatic as an old cathode tube ray television. So those are there for you to use. You just select the ones you want if you want them, and then you have to activate them. So I'm going to just back up for a second. If you just click on any other tool, it takes you out of the artboard tool interface. I'm going to do File, New, and I'm going to open up a film and video document. I'll just go NTSC widescreen. Okay. When you work with a film and video file, it looks totally different. We have all kinds of things on here. We have our center mark, our crosshairs, and our safety margins, our action and text safe margins, as well as artboard rulers. And the white area is gone behind, in the background basically. So just so you don't get freaked out and this feels so awkward, there are a few things you can do when you open up one of these things, and that's you go to View, and you can hide video rulers. Under Rulers, View, Rulers, Hide Video Rulers. Now those are gone. But then I could go to View, Hide Transparency Grid. And that brings it back to a more normal looking document. If some people just don't like seeing that transparency back there. They love it in Photoshop, but they hate it in Illustrator. I'm not really sure why. I'm fine either way, just because whatever. I totally understand the transparency deal. The last thing are these little marks. So if I wanted to get rid of those, I'd go to my Artboard tool, and I'd say, all right, let's center mark. Let's turn it off. So that one's gone. Now I'm going to go crosshairs. Let's turn it off. And then I'll go to my video safe areas, and I'll turn those off. There we go. So once I get out of the Artboard tool, I'm just back to a normal document that still is set up as a 72 pixel per inch. Oh, wait, well, resolution doesn't matter, right? The raster effects would be 72. My color space is RGB, and the pixel dimensions are appropriate for an NTSC DV widescreen project if I were working in After Effects or Final Cut or something like that. I'll just close that and not save it and go back to this artboard. Alright, back to the artboard tool here. We have artboard options. This little button that has, it looks like a little options window. This is where you can name your artboard, you can choose your presets, your dimensions. You can plug in certain dimensions if that's exactly what you're trying to do, because there's no preset for the size you're working on. Here we have all of our different displays. Do you want to fade out that area in the background or not? So all of these options are what we just cruise through in this little control bar. But this, they're all together here. I'll just hit cancel. Then we have our reference point for the artboard. You can choose different reference points. Basically, it means where would your artboard scale from? Would it scale from the center? Would it scale from the top left corner? Most people really don't feel, when I say most people, you know what I'm really referring to? It's me. I'm a lot of people, apparently, in my mind. Most people don't ever touch that. We have our X and Y coordinates, and basically that's referring to our reference point. So right now, the reference point being the center, this tells me the coordinates that I am on my X and my Y. On the grid here, basically there's no grid that you see, but Illustrator works as in a coordinate sort of world, so X and Y coordinates are critical here. And then we have our width. So here's the width and the height of the document. You can change that anytime. And if it says PT after it and you want to work with inches, all you have to do is just select the entire information that's in that field and type in that you want it to be 12 IN for inches, and it'll just automatically go to 12 inches, but it'll bounce back to showing you what 12 inches is in a point perspective. Okay. All right, so that is artboards for you that are blank, empty. I'll talk about an artboard that has art in it real quick. Let me see. Oh, Media Arts classes, online, Illustrator. Nope, not that one. This one, Artboards. 6-pager. Okay, so here is an example of a project set up with 3 different artboards for different purposes. You have one that's like a perhaps an ad in a magazine or maybe a poster. So that's Artboard 1 here. Artboard 2 is taking the same art and sort of proposing this as artwork for skateboards. And then the third one is taking the same art and showing what it might look like on a t-shirt. So this is kind of a good example of a project that might be pitched to a client. You know, we've made a design and they want to see it used in different ways and mediums. And it's a nice way to work. Now, you're not going to give your client an Illustrator file. You're going to give them either some still images or perhaps sort of a PDF portfolio. And the cool thing about multiple artboards is now if I were to try to save this as a PDF, and we'll get to that later, it would give me a 3-page PDF file. Page 1 being Artboard 1, page 2 being Artboard 2, page 3 being Artboard 3. And that would be easily emailed or FTP'd or whatever, even printed, and your client would just have to pretty much flip through those pages to look at the different artwork. So one last thing I want to talk about with these artboards is this feature here up on the control bar, which is between the artboard name and your display options. And it is Move Copy Artwork with Artboard. And when this is not checked, when it's just nice and light gray or white, there's no color active in it. If I was to make a new artboard off of this one, and a nice quick way to do it is to hold down Alt or Option, depending on which platform you're using. If I hold down Option, I get these little double arrows where my icon arrow was. That means I can duplicate something or make a copy by dragging it. So if I were to hold that down, I'm holding down Option and I'm dragging down, you can see that I'm tearing away a new artboard from the skateboard artboard, and it's the same dimensions and everything. So with that button not engaged, it just allows me to pull off a multiple artboard that has the same dimensions. If I close that and get rid of it, and then activate that Move Copy Artwork with the artboard and do the same thing here now. If I hold down Option and drag away, already we can kind of see and expect what's happening. It actually duplicated the artwork that was in that artboard and moved it over. This is really awesome when dealing with layout, pages that maybe you need to have some of the same background design, perhaps. Headers or little menu things or sidebars or photographs. And basically, it allows you to use something as a template, and then you can go into that artboard and start changing things, modifying it. But it allows consistency and precise replication throughout different artboards, and that is just by clicking on a certain button, which is pretty awesome. So that's all we're going to talk about artboards on this one, and we will move on. And soon we'll be making things soon.